Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Corey, better known as the Seaman, and I want to welcome you to another edition of the Seaman's Cinema Sit Down. We just finished the second episode of this show, and man, I'm a sucker for it, and I'm in love with it, man. What Netflix is doing with this one, specifically what Neil Gaiman is doing with this one, is he adapts it. It is really, really excellent stuff, and I can't wait to see what we get with this episode, which has a very drastic change that I'm not sure all of you guys understand why it's happened or that it's happening, but I did some research. Now I know what's going on. What am I talking about? Why don't you pull up a chair, take a seat? We are getting ready to dive into episode 3 of the Sandman, titled Dream a Little Dream of Me. And at the end of episode 2, when Morpheus is talking to the Fates, he asks who has his pouch of sand. Now, that kind of it was a curveball that really kind of took me off guard, because in the comic, it's John Constantine. And I believe in the comic, I don't know if they actually say John Constantine to him. I think they just say Constantine, and then he's like, I knew a Constantine once, but that was like a couple hundred years ago. So this must be a new Constantine. And in the show, the Fates say, is JOHANNA Constantine? I sat there and I was like, whoa, what? Wait, what? Like, issue 3 is supposed to be John Constantine, who's a big-time fan favorite for DC fans. And I'm sure some of you are going, Corey, why do you keep saying John Constantine? We talked about this last video during our reaction and review to episode 2. If you want to see that, you can see it right up there. But the reason I'm saying Constantine is, as Neil Gaiman has pointed out, and has even made fun of, lightly in the books, where he has one character who will say Constantine and always stresses the teen. And I didn't even know this. Like, reading the books, I always said Constantine, and I never understood the joke until I heard Neil Gaiman say Constantine. And the same thing, like, when you're listening to Audible, if you forget, like, they say Constantine in the Audible. And it's like, oh yeah, and the reason being is because that's how Alan Moore, the creator of John Constantine, pronounced the name to Neil Gaiman. He's like, fans have just been saying it wrong. Like, everybody's been saying it wrong, man. I'm pretty sure even DC uses Constantine in some of the animated films. So I always think that's a funny one, but I will be saying Constantine throughout the course of these videos, especially because it's Constantine in the show. But the question at hand is, why is it JOHANNA Constantine and not John? And one of the first things I thought of was, I wonder if it's a DC rights thing, because there are plenty of DC characters that will pop in and out, and we've already seen a tweak where we watched, Mrs. D, Ethel Cripps, go down to see her son John D, who in the comics was locked up at Arkham Asylum. But it's one of those things where we saw the adaptation is he's just in a high maximum security, like, mental facility, or mental prison, really. And because I think he says prison, and then Ethel says it's a hospital, right? But you already saw that adaptation twist, and another one of the things is that the ruby is actually in the possession, or the link from the Fates in the comics is to the Justice League, which is one of the reasons that Morpheus leaves it for last. That clearly is obviously not going on here, so I thought maybe the John Constantine thing was a DC Comics bit, where it's like, JOHANNA technically is from the Sandman, but, like, John was a DC comic, character that was brought into, I think the first thing that Moore used him in was his run in the Swamp Thing. So, like, that is a DC comic property. But that's not the case at all. It's clearly an adaptation decision from Gaiman. And the main reason was that when they went out and they cast Jenna Coleman, who comes to us from Doctor Who, to play JOHANNA Constantine, it's one of those things where she pops up a little bit later on in a flashback where, you have Morpheus going and meeting JOHANNA at a pub, and they have, like, a conversation. And Gaiman said when they cast Coleman that, you get someone that's this regal and elegant to play Lady JOHANNA Constantine, and he wanted more for her. And especially, he's like, when I wrote the books originally, I didn't have as many female characters as he's populated in the show. We've already seen the gender bend as well as the race bend for Lucian. So ultimately, what Gaiman said was the main decision was that he wanted to give Coleman more screen time than what she would have had if she was just playing Lady Johanna Constantine. And, him, Heimberg, and Goyer thought it would be fun to play with, like, a direct lineage, right? Where you have Lady Johanna Constantine in the past as well as a Johanna Constantine in the future, keeping, the character name as a direct lineage to the points. They thought that could kind of be fun to play with and would give the opportunity for Coleman to do more. So that is why we are getting Johanna Constantine in episode 3 and not just in, I think they said she would be in, like, because they skipped some issues, so I think it's 12 in the comics, so I think it'd be like around 8 or probably 7, 8 or 9, somewhere in there. So rather than just getting Coleman there, we get to have Coleman in the second episode as well as Johanna Constantine in the present. And honestly, I don't think that that's a change that's going to hurt or impact the show negatively at all, outside of the fact that you have John Constantine fans that I'm sure would have been excited to see John Constantine represented in the show. But that makes me fascinated to see what the take on Johanna is, and how similar she is to John, and how many similarities, direct tie-ins hit even closer to home, having two Johannas instead of a John and a Johanna. So again, it's another one of those things where when you're talking about adapting material, I find it really interesting when you can see the tweaks and the changes. And as I mentioned, being a Constantine fan, third issue is one of my personal faves. I love any time that you can hang out with Constantine, specifically because of his attitude and the way that he talks and the type of banter, and the banter that he has specifically with Morpheus. It's just top-end stuff. So hopefully Coleman will carry a similar banter method as Johanna as we get ready to dive into episode 3 here. But as always, because I'm in Jersey and I'm not in Connecticut, in order to hear it in my earpiece, because eventually when Prey reactions go up, you're going to hear just the TV audio the whole time like I used to do it, and I hated it when I was editing it. So I pull it up on my phone, and then I push play on the TV at the same time, and we pretty much end up with stuff in sync so I have clean audio. So anyway, let's get ourselves in the right position. Let's get the third episode featuring Johanna Constantine, Dream a Little, Dream of Me, up. That's one of the things that for context, the issue title comes from the fact that John is constantly hearing Dream a Little, Dream of Me throughout the course of the issue. I think there's one other song too in the issue that he's hearing, so I'd imagine that Dream a Little, Dream of Me is going to come into play in this episode as well. But we've got it up on the phone, we've got it up here on the screen, it's also on my TV, so let's hit the double play, and we're rolling. Oh, and it skipped the front because I was watching it, so now we're gonna have to do this again. Let's see. I think I'm just a hair ahead. Now we're locked in. We're locked in. Audio's good. Sandman title is up. Volume is up. I can hear. You can see. Let's rock and roll, baby. Episode 3 of The Sandman. Chapter 3. Dream a little dream. Good old Johanna Constantine. Can't wait to see if she feels like John at all. I hope so, because I love John's personality. Doesn't seem like she'll be rocking the cigarette, though. Maybe gum? She's chewing gum. Maybe gum will be her thing. That would be fun. Is this like a movie theater?
Johanna! What is it? What's happened? We have to go.
Run now, Casanova. Hints of black cats. I like that, though. Black cats are very prominent.
Oi, Logue.
Satanic rituals. Well, that's up a Constantine's alley.
Johanna,
What the fuck did you do?
we was just having a bit of fun.
Bit of fun. Summoning demons. Where are the others?
She does feel like John, by the way.
You don't want to go in there.
No, I bloody don't. Someone has to clean up your shit.
I'm hoping the gum is like the cigarette thing. Gotta love when Constantine's gonna throw down with some demons. Oh!
All right, miss. We're here.
Little bit of a dream for Johanna.
Sorry, long day.
Mine's just getting started.
I have a feeling mine is as well.
Johanna Constantine.
Oh, she said Tyne. Should have said Tyne.
He's coming, isn't he? Who? Yeah, well, you know who. Morpheus, the Aneromancer, the Sandman. He's back.
Yes.
Sandman, the one who puts the kids to sleep. He's a fairy story, Hetty.
He's back, and he wants his sand.
Dunno.
He wants his son.
You'll see. I know. I'm 208 years old.
She is. She is actually that old. The comic John confirms that.
Constantine,
Have we met?
we have business, you and I.
Get in line, bruv. Can't keep God waiting.
That was a great back and forth with Eddie, although I was surprised that she didn't stress the Constantine the way she does in the book, but maybe Gaiman's trying not to confuse new viewers. Just get them stuck on Constantine.
Why have I been summoned?
The usual reason. I have a soul indeed.
Who is she?
Does it matter if I double your fee? Triple it?
If her family is in any way royal, the answer is no.
The Queen doesn't know. She showed up here about an hour ago demanding that I marry them.
Why is she marrying?
Kevin Brody.
Kevin Brody, the footballer. He's rubbish.
Fit though.
Look, if our chat goes wrong, I've got a dead princess on my hand, a demon on the loose, and no one to pay my fee. Jesus fuck.
I like what this appears to be all
Is that her?
new additions, which I like, giving Johanna more room to breathe. Especially those unfamiliar with the character. Good chance to kind of establish her a little bit before she teams up with Morpheus.
She sounds like that because she's been possessed by a fucking demon.
Jog her first. Get her drunk. Tie her up a little bit.
She's British royalty.
They love that shit.
Any other ideas?
Coleman's crushing right now.
Take your top off. Princess, take this. I do.
I see what she's doing there. But I would take a Gaiman written Johanna Constantine spin-off just off of what I've seen so far. That's how much I'm liking Coleman. Like, I would take a Johanna Constantine Netflix show from Gaiman if you wanted to do that. That could be fun.
Do you, Kevin, take...
Oh, yeah.
Da locum darissime.
Da locum darissime.
Da locum impiissime.
Da locum impiissime.
Demons and the footballer.
Da locum Christo.
Da locum Christo. Sorry, can we...
For nihilum venisti de operibus tuis.
Are you going to be sick?
Tricked him.
Are you going to be sick during our wedding?
Quites baleavit, qui regnum tuum destruxit.
Kevin.
Oh, man.
It passa to a deri...
Look at how excited she's getting. It's very Constantine-esque, for sure. Oh, God, you just gotta rip this guy's body apart. Oh, no. Look at this thing. It's got rings in his back. What a guy.
You're right about the demon, wrong about the host.
Fucking hell.
Get her out there.
Not in the princess.
Quasumos. Omnis.
You talk too much.
Tell me your name and I'll stop.
And why would I do that when there are far more enjoyable ways to make you stop?
His name is Agalaeus.
I'm flattered you remember me, Lord Morpheus. After all your time away,
Oh, is he a nightmare?
Lord Morpheus.
he is. Though I confess I almost didn't recognize you without your helm. I wonder where your helm could be.
Or is he a demon?
Hell with the demon to whom it was traded.
Yes, but which demon? Give me the princess and I'll tell you.
Exi, ego, agale.
Alright, so he's a demon.
Fine.
Oh, John.
Tell you where your helm is. Just don't send me back.
Constantine!
Oh, Morpheus is not gonna be happy with Johanna.
Quasumas domine.
Do what the others command you.
Run along and fuck off back to hell.
That's good. Wow. Ooh, man. Dream could have gotten an answer there.
You have no idea what you have done.
He's not happy at Johanna.
I do that. I've just tripled my fee. Oi, Rick!
Love it. She... Spot on, personally. I think she is spot on.
So why now? What's happened?
You stole from him.
Nothing's happened. I have it on good authority that the ruby's owner is coming for it.
And he's coming for you. You're the one who stole it.
And you're the one who stole it from me.
Every time you moved us to a new town and changed our last name, it wasn't because your boyfriend of the time was beating the shit out of us. It was because the fucking Sandman was coming.
Stuff is great.
Or from my father. You lie for a living. You're Ethel Cripps, you're Ethel D, you're Madame Daudet, and apparently I'm a man called John Burgess.
Your father was a cunt who wanted me to abort you.
Facts. And he was dead by the time he was a baby.
You want me to give you the ruby? Then you tell me everything. And this time you tell me the truth.
I like sprinkling the John D stuff in with the Corinthian stuff, like as they're kind of layering that stuff throughout. For those interested, the issue is just Constantine and Orpheus. So anytime we break from them, this episode's got a lot of additions to it already. But dig in what we got. I'm really liking Johanna.
What is he then?
He's endless.
He is endless. Alright, come on. Let's go find that sand, Johanna.
I said the Sandman, and I meant the bleeding Sandman. Good to have you back, my lord. Don't let him mess you about.
What do you want with me then?
Something of mine came into your possession. A leather pouch filled with sand. I need it back.
Well, that was yours. Bought an estate sale a while back. Didn't even manage to get the drawstrings open.
Where is it?
No idea. Could be anywhere.
We must find it.
Why's that?
Because without it, my realm will cease to exist, and if dreams disappear, then so will humanity.
Facts.
I will help you find your sand.
Good.
First thing tomorrow.
No.
And I work alone. Don't want you and your little friend follow me all over London.
My friend.
Is that not your raven?
Ah,
My grand said dreamer is at a raven.
Not anymore.
that's what you think.
Who are you?
I like how they're adapting this.
Tell me your name.
It's, Matthew, sir.
Patton Oswalt.
If I need assistance,
You
I
do,
ask.
actually. She's getting away, sir.
Go back to the dreaming, Matthew.
Always room for Patton Oswalt in all things comics.
The amulet of protection.
It's what's kept me alive all these years. But it won't do the same for you. That's why I need the ruby, John.
Even if I told you where it was, it wouldn't do any good. I've altered it. It only works for me now.
John, I've no intention of using it. I want us to give it back to him.
But maybe we shouldn't give away a jewel that makes dreams come true when we could use it to dream of a world without the Sandman.
Yeah. Oh, man. Dude, like I said, again, moving up storylines and sprinkling them in. Fun. Give some of these characters that really have impact more breathing room. Like what we're doing with John D and Ethel.
I can't. The boss lady told me...
Lucien is not your master.
Told me you'd say that, too.
Do you know who I am?
Not entirely, but I don't even know who I am anymore. A couple hours ago, I apparently died in my sleep, and now I'm a bird. I used to have thumbs. Now I have these things.
And you must use them to fly back to the dreaming. This world is not safe.
I lived my whole life here. That's why Lucien sent me to help you. Look, let me at least help you find this woman.
If she is asleep, then I know exactly where to find her.
Yes, he does. Dreams. Or should we say nightmares? But I do dig this tweak of, and kind of giving us bits of Matthew's story in moments like that. Oh no. No. Oh god. Oh god. Oh no!
How did you find me?
You were dreaming, but it wasn't only a dream, was it? It's a memory. I could make it go away.
Only if I help you find your sand.
Nice twist. John asks for him to take it away at the end of the issue and the books. With this adaptation, I like the barter move.
Try not to clean up while I'm gone.
I'm coming with you. You have a gift for disappearing.
All right. If the mess in here offends you, wait till you see my office.
It's one of another nice little pieces though, like how'd you get here? Oh, I found you in a dream. It's one of the ways that Morpheus can move. He can hop from dreams into the real world from there. It's also getting dark in here. I hope there's enough light.
It's not just some object, it's a part of me.
Well, if that's true, how'd you happen to lose it?
It was stolen by another magic user called Burgess.
The old demon king himself, eh? Said he had the devil locked up in his basement. How the fuck did you...
You.
Shit. Wasn't the devil he had locked up in his basement, was he? Were you down there all this time?
Is this you?
Oh, is that gonna be Rachel?
You look that different. What? Younger?
Happy.
Shit. I know what your sand is.
That was Rachel.
Never was just the two of us, was it?
Well, when you were between boyfriends.
No, I meant the ruby.
Well, you only ever showed it to me on birthdays. You tell me to make a wish and a pony would appear in the garden. I should never have stolen it from you.
I should never have stolen it.
You did what you had to do to keep us both alive. I understand that now. And I'm just glad I can return the favor if you bring me the ruby.
I don't think that's a good idea.
The only reason those people got hurt the last time was...
People didn't get hurt, John. People died.
I was defending myself, and now I can use it to defend you.
But I don't need defending. It's you I'm trying to save. What can I do to make you believe me?
What are you doing?
What I should have done long ago. If I give you this, you won't need the ruby.
Who is she? The woman in the picture?
Her name's Rachel.
It is Rachel. That was a girl John kicked it with in the books.
No, she's actually a decent person. A job, nice family.
And yet, you left the sand with her.
No, I did not leave it with her. Sort of left it and her. I was staying at her place for a few months. She interpreted that as us living together, which we weren't, so...
Not balanced.
One night I just went on a job and never went back.
Why?
Because it never ends well.
Love? I suppose it doesn't.
Morpheus has love. Wonder if we'll get anywhere near that in this series.
This is her, or it used to be. Been 6 months. Maybe she might move house. Please move house. Bollocks.
Wonder how accurate they're gonna stick to what's going on with Rachel.
That's weird. Shouldn't even ask who it is. This could get awkward. Wait here.
I'm coming with you.
No, you're not. Do you have any idea how much she probably hates me right now? Do you have any ex-girlfriends?
He does.
I will not wait long.
And she hates him too. Gotta imagine he's gonna end up inside, unless they've changed the adaptation entirely.
Just come on with him.
They're changing this as well. We'll talk about the tweak after the episode. Rachel's fate, not great in the comics.
Sorry to bother you. I left some things behind when we broke up, and I was wondering if...
Did we?
No, fair point. That was bad of me, and should have phoned or at least texted.
Do you want to come in
Just won't get me sand.
and apologise properly?
Ooh, someone trying to get freaky.
Human beings cannot be trusted. If I were Johanna Constantine, I'd be up there cutting a deal with Rachel to keep the sand, then cut the dream sand with real sand and sell it to the highest bidder.
Cut the dream sand with real sand.
If you're out here waiting for human beings to help anyone but themselves, you're going to be sitting out here in the rain forever.
Facts.
Whatever they're doing up there, they're not thinking about you.
That's true based on where we just left them. Hey, you saw the look in their eyes.
It's going well, isn't it?
Yes. But you have a lot to apologise for.
Ho ho. Ho ho. Dog's still over there. He's awake now, though.
When you left that night,
Do we have to?
and you didn't come home, I was terrified. I called everyone, but they all told me to just get over you. Because you're selfish, ruthless, coward.
trying to say? What just happened?
You wake up.
Oh, she was asleep. Oh, okay. I see. I see what that was now.
It was the sound.
Moving through the house that Rachel is in the book, you see how the sand impacts the rooms, but one of them does cause John to fall asleep right away. He had a very different dream. He was falling.
Joe? Is that you?
Okay, Rachel's fate is exactly what it was in the comics. Oh, poor Rachel. Hooked on that sand, man. It's like crack.
No. Please.
We can go.
Well, we can't go. We can't leave her like this.
We can't help her. The sand was the only thing keeping her alive.
If it wasn't for your sand, she wouldn't be like this.
I'm not the one who left her with it.
Facts.
What is wrong with you? But you want your sand back so that you can save all of humanity? Well, here she is. But we're all just Roderick Burgess to you.
Huh. That's a nice ad, too.
What's the point of you? Well, you got your son back. Why are you still here if you won't help?
I like that back and forth to get Morpheus to do what I think he's about to do better than what we had in both that gut check type stuff on Morpheus, which is an interesting character.
Wait outside.
Looks like I can't. Is it raining in the show? I think it's starting to rain outside in the back, but it's not raining over here because it's bright. Oh yeah, there's thunder. Okay, it's also raining though, I think, on the windows in the show. Sorry, this is serious.
It's my fault.
That thunder is rolling here though.
I should never have left it with you. I should never have left. You came back though, didn't you?
That was cool. He breathed life back into her.
One last thing.
Aging real fast without it.
No, Mother. Take it.
160 years.
It's too late now.
Coming on too fast.
God! Mother.
You don't need the ruby.
What did you do to her?
Nothing. I didn't do anything.
Oh,
You don't want to point that gun at me, I promise you.
you don't.
Why don't you just let me go?
I'm warning you, John. I will shoot.
I'm sorry.
Oh, you didn't want me that. The way that they opt to obliterate people in this show. That's taking the boys to like a different level. Like that is an exploding body that is almost artistic, if you will. Also, the adaptation, like I said, for John D. I love moving it up. I wonder. I can't remember exactly, but I wonder if his story is in one of the issues that they skip over.
Don't you fucking move!
Boys. It's gonna be a very sticky elevator. Oh wait, so that's cool. That's kind of cool visually, because it's something that we were kind of missing in this episode. We're gonna talk about adaptations when we get to the end here.
It's too cold for you to be out here without a coat.
Here comes the Corinthian.
Well, that's very kind of you, but please, I insist.
A team up made of nightmares.
What about you? No, I don't mind the cold. May I return it to you when I get to where I'm going? Well, the only thing that matters to me is that you get to where you're going. Thank you.
Oh man, I'm very excited for all of this. Oh, and we get to go to hell next. Yes. There's sweet stuff in that issue.
She died in peace. In her sleep.
I'm so excited for Gwendolyn Christie. She's gonna be a badass Lucifer.
You know, she was actually a good person. There are a few of them out there, you know. They're not all like me and Roderick Burgess.
You're not Roderick Burgess.
And what's your friend's name?
His name is Matthew, but he is not.
Look after him, Matthew. He needs it.
'Tis true. I'm telling you, man, I would take a Johanna Constantine show.
Constantine! That nightmare won't trouble you anymore.
That was nice, what you did up there.
Excellent.
Don't ever spy on me again.
I wasn't spying. If I were spying on you, you'd never know it. So what's our next move?
I'm going in search of my helm, and you are going to the dreaming.
Or, hear me out, you could take me with you. You'll never have to have this conversation ever again.
Does sound tempting. In fact, where I am going, I may have need of you.
Yeah? Where are we going?
Hell.
Hell? As in hell? We should probably check in with Lucian first, right? See how she's feeling about it? I'm gonna go out on a limb, which is something birds actually do, and say...
Something that birds actually do.
But I don't get a sense that you're listening, so... Fuck it, let's go to hell!
Patton Oswalt, I think, is a good choice for Matthew. I think he'll do some... I mean, he's already doing some great things. That was a really excellent adaptation for that issue, and it's to this point the one that differs the most from the source material, and I think a lot of that is because Gaiman looked to do something different once the character changed, and the adaptation's spot on. For the most part, like as far as what we have going on with Morpheus, Dream a Little, Dream of Me is just him and John in the comic, and it mirrors pretty well the episode. They obviously, like I said, they added some elements to give you more time with Johanna. All that stuff at the church was great. The tweak on the nightmare I liked a lot. And just the different things that they gave Johanna to flesh out, her story, giving her that nightmare with Astra, which that hits, what I mean. But I thought Coleman did a really good job. She really does feel like John. Like when she is going back and forth Morpheus, that banter is legit. But with the adaptation that Gaiman takes here, there's a lot more depth to their conversations than there is in the comics. And I like that, specifically at the end of the episode when she checks him and is like, you can't leave her like this. This is your fault. And even though it's technically Johanna's, Morpheus kind of hears it, And in the comic, it's one of those where when John, just seeing John get emotional at all, you can understand and you feel how badly he feels about the entire situation. But breaking it down the way they do in the episode, where Johanna goes in a little bit more and kind of leans in, like we're not all Roderick Burgess and like all that stuff was great, and it adds more context to Dream too, right? Like for the viewer, we haven't seen Dream interact with too many humans outside of the ones that kidnapped him and imprisoned him, albeit accidentally. Because they were going for death, but like the concept of how he responds to humans, and then to add in Matthew here and have him kind of bopping around because he's not in that issue either. Talking about humans and mankind, and the fact that he was a human, that Lucian is. I wonder if they'll go more into that stuff. If not, we'll cover it more on a different video. but like going into the fact that like Matthew is a real person, and now he just possesses, the body of this raven that Lucian's brought about. Like I said, I have a feeling that they'll probably get into Matthew's story a little bit more, so we'll save that for now. But I think injecting him here, specifically when you're talking about humanity and having those conversations, I really, really dug that stuff a lot. Now, one of the things I was kind of geeking out right at the end about is what we end up getting by adding John Dee's storyline in. One, it's being adapted very well, very true to form to the comic. It's one of those, like, as those moments are happening, you're like, oh god, like they've advanced it up. Like I said, I can't exactly remember where John Dee pops in the comics, and as I said, I'm kind of doing these episode by episode. But I want to say, I bet you that one of the episodes, or one of the issues that John is featured in primarily, must be one of the issues that they skipped, or maybe features some of the other DC comic book characters that they're not going to work with in the show. Either way, though, I like sliding it up, linking him in the Corinthian as your guys who mean trouble for Morpheus is great, and I really, really like what we're getting, performance-wise from everybody that's there. I should probably just leave IMDb up because I can't ever remember any names. But David Thewlis, who's playing John Dee, I mean, excellent stuff, man. Like, the character from an art design is creepy, and Thewlis isn't necessarily that, but where he can go as an actor kind of puts you right in that realm. But one of the things that we got with John Dee was that elevator shot. You saw me kind of geek out a little bit, and it's connected to that spot where we see Johanna have the dream in the hallway, and Morpheus is like, it's the sand. Well, in the comic, Rachel is at her parents' house, not in an apartment. And they go there to talk to her father. Johanna figures her dad might know where she is. And as soon as they get to the house, Morpheus is like, my sand's here. And she's, and John's like, what do you mean? He's like, I know it's here. When they go in, the house is a little messed up. You walk in and exactly what happens. John falls right into a dream. In the dream, he is falling, whereas Johanna falls into this like real encounter, or seemingly real encounter, kind of like a just like a little misdirect for us with the bit that she has with Rachel, which I liked because that really ties into the feelings that are there. Like, one of the things with John, he never really commits. And one of those things that's kind of conveyed by Gaiman in the book is how this woman, Rachel, impacted him, especially knowing what he's responsible for. So adding that layer as the dream really adds to the concept of how connected Johanna is to Rachel, and that fuels how she responds to Morpheus later on in the room. But in the comic, after John wakes up and they go to move through the next room they go into, like, John goes to flip the lights and there's goop all over his hand, and it's human remains, and there is what appears to be multiple, but based on what Morpheus says, it's one Humies, as I would assume it's probably whoever was in here last, probably her father, but the entire room is just caked in living organism, like flesh, blood, and like you see eyeballs and stuff, but everything on the wall is alive. So that's the one thing that was missing. They have steered clear of some of the super dark kind of like elements. You could almost say horror-esque elements in the first few issues. That they've kind of steered clear of some of those. So that one was certainly one of them. But then they go to another room and it's like filled with green, like it's just like green, what looks like goo, and its face is coming out. It's a nightmare. That's in there. So I like that. While we skipped through that, right, we just went right to the dream, to Rachel's room. When John Dee leaves that elevator, the elevator visually is very reminiscent of that room that John and Morpheus walk through before they get to Rachel. So I love that was in there. And again, that's one of those things where give yourself 20, 25 minutes. You can find these online very easily. You give it a read, and then you watch the episode and you go, oh, wow. Especially knowing that it's Gaiman who's doing all this stuff, right? Like, he's one of your three main writers. And what these guys are doing, it like the essence and everything you want. Like, this episode, if you were to say from an essence standpoint, where does this episode land? it lands smack dab on the nose for issue 3. And with some of the things that Gaiman is able to alter and add, making John Johanna in this situation and giving Coleman more material, you're able to add things that as a reader, I haven't seen those things. I haven't had those pieces of the story, and it adds different context and depth to the characters, specifically for an audience who hasn't read the comics or knows the characters that well. So I really dig what you're seeing, adaptation-wise from Gaiman and his his team of writers, and it's just been so fun to watch. So while this episode, I think, diverts from the comic more than any of the other ones, it does exactly what it's been doing. It drops actual dialogue and things right off the page and throws them onto the screen. But with this, specifically because there's such a massive change, it really allows Gaiman, Goyer, and Heinberg to have fun and explore these characters and these stories in slightly different ways and views and perspectives. Like I said, I think Gaiman wrote this in the 80s. So you have a very, very different perspective in 2022 and how he's doing things. I'm just really, really digging. Tom Sturridge continues to crush, man. He's so good. And you can almost feel it in his performance that he is building to a place where when he's at full power and he can unleash and do some Morpheus stuff. Oh man, I'm just excited for him as he, because there's a level of confidence that Morpheus has when he has his tools, and being weakened and being without them and being gone from the world and the dreaming in the different realms for so long, he doesn't really have that confidence right now, and Sturridge is doing a really good job of it. And the thing that I like the most about Sturridge, and it's the thing that I think really works with a character like Morpheus, specifically when you're trying to tee him up opposite of someone like the Corinthian, who's got a lot more charisma and charm, and you could say the Corinthian's moving a lot more while Morpheus is kind of here, but you can kind of sense the emotional things that Morpheus is going through in each episode. You're seeing the sadness and the different ways the world is impacting him, right? Morpheus has been gone from the world for almost 100 years. He's dealt with really terrible people for most of that time. So you kind of see this observant nature to him in certain situations. When he's up in the room and he's watching the interaction between Johanna and Rachel, you can kind of see him taking something away from that, and I really dig that about what Sturridge is doing. And then the other thing too is you can see the anger that's just bubbling below the surface, and there are going to be moments where there is no bubbling, and I'm very excited for Sturridge there. But the fact that he's able to keep it suppressed almost is really just awesome, and I love what he's doing. And he has thus far been a pitch perfect casting for Morpheus, and if you're gonna have this show succeed, that's the guy you have to nail. And at this point, I think they've nailed all the characters that they've brought in, but Sturridge is really doing excellent stuff. Like I said, when you're talking about Jenna Coleman playing Johanna Constantine, I thought she nailed it. I understand why Johanna wouldn't have a cigarette like John would. Cigarettes are really not a thing that you see too often in media anymore. And look, cigarettes are terrible for you. I mean, just flat out, point blank. I get why it's not there. But I like substituting it for gum. It was one of those things that, if you're watching, you might not notice, but paying attention, you just kind of start to see, she's always got a piece of gum in her mouth. Kind of, I think, the replacement. And with nicotine gum being one of those things that has replaced cigarettes in the world for certain people, I think that's a cool little adaptation. And I think what Coleman gives us, I'm really excited now. I really appreciate this tweak from, these guys, because I'm now more excited for when we get to see Lady Johanna. How is Coleman going to differentiate? Coleman should be much more sophisticated and classy, even though you can't trust a Constantine anywhere. Like she says, you know my family for centuries, you can't trust none of us. But there is a different elegance to Lady Johanna. So I'll be interested to see how Coleman handles that, and I'm excited to see that. But Coleman was great, man. I mean, she gets the banter, the timing, the way that she responds and reacts to things. Like, it almost felt like she's either watched a bunch of the DC things that feature John, or like she's read some things, or just like got in a room with Neil Gaiman and Gaiman was like giving her all the like. It's one of these things that I'm really starting to understand about people who work with Gaiman after listening to the Audible and now seeing what we're seeing on Netflix. Like, Gaiman must have really good notes and really specific notes to kind of get you into certain character places, and the actors in this show are clearly taking those notes to heart and really delivering. So I really enjoyed what we got out of Coleman. As I said, Patton Oswalt fits the character for Matthew perfectly, and I don't want to say too much about him, but I think we should have a lot of fun with Matthew as we go forward. And hopefully we'll dive in a little bit more into the specifics of Matthew and where he comes from later on. So like I said, I'm going to save some of that for you guys. But like I said, it's one of those things where you live in the nerd space. Patton Oswalt is bound to pop up somewhere, and I think he suits Matthew quite well. And yeah, I mean, this was just once again another excellent episode from Gaiman and this squad, and I really dig the adaptation that's going on. Like, it is true to form to the book, even though it is taking some drastic differences. The one person that I did skip, though, that we should probably give a little bit of love to, because she gets pretty it's a rough ending for Rachel. Gotta see if we can find Rachel. But the last shout out that I'm gonna give here is Eleanor Fanyinka. She doesn't have a ton to do, but I thought she was very impactful. I really liked the dream sequence that she had with Johanna. Like, you could definitely tell like what that connection and what the fiery part of that relationship was like, but in one swift tear that starts to turn into muddling sand and dust that blows away, you're able to kind of swing it to understand all the pain and the hurt. And like I said, the adaptation from a dream perspective, giving you the nice dream and the nightmare mix, really worked. And I thought Fanyinka did a really excellent job with how she shifted from those two places. I mean, the joy that you see in her face to the slow turn to tragedy and then blowing away, and then obviously when you see her in the bed, the emaciated version of her, there's not a ton for her to do there, but you're feeling everything that's going on in that moment, specifically when he takes the sand right out of her hand. And that's an impactful, like I said, sequence. I'm glad that they added more there for Johanna. Like, to give her a moment to say goodbye like that was a piece that John doesn't get in the comics, and is, again, something that adds a little bit more depth to the Johanna character, where, like, I'm sitting here like, Mr. Gaiman, Mr. Goyer, Mr. Heinberg, one of you three, all three of you three, I don't care. Somebody give me a Johanna Constantine, like, spin-off series. And it doesn't even have to be a spin-off series. It doesn't have to connect to the Sandman at all. Just give me Jenna Coleman playing Johanna Constantine, doing Johanna Constantine thing. Like, the concept of telling John Constantine type stories with that character, specifically with Jenna Coleman in it, like, I was fascinated with her from jump. And like, now I'm a little sad that we're not going to get to see her for a little bit. And when we see her, she'll be totally different, which, could be a lot of fun. But yeah, I mean, that's one of those where, like, I'm here for that. So let's get the Sea Maniacs up. I just don't know how to do this any other way. But yeah, you guys are gonna I'm gonna get hate for this, because I'm sure not all of these episodes are hitting like this for everybody. But once again, when you're just talking strictly performance stuff, I mean, this cast is phenomenal. It's gonna be phenomenal stuff from everybody involved every time out. Tom Sturridge, obviously, your big call out, and your repeating wonderful ability of just crushing it. Same with Boyd Holbrook. He's got a much smaller role in this episode, but like, your cast is bringing it. The ads that we get this episode, if only they came out weekly, life would be so much easier, Netflix. But the ads, Jenna Coleman is fantastic. Patton Oswalt, I'm sure will catch some people off guard if they didn't know that he was going to voice Matthew. But I liked what you got there. Looking forward to seeing more of him. Sad that we don't get more of Johanna. But look, from performance-wise, like everybody that Gaiman has assembled here is bringing the heat at all times, which is great. And then when you talk about the adaptation, I mean, look, this is the biggest difference from the comic. But the way they adapt it, the essence, the heart of that issue is all over this episode. And the enhancements and new things that we get in the episode, specifically stemming from Johanna's story and adding to that, I really, really dug. I thought it gave that character layers, but also added some depth to Morpheus as he's kind of coming back into himself, you could say. And then when you add in, sprinkling in the John Dee story, like I said, that's another smart thing, like moving up the Corinthian. Sliding John Dee up a little bit earlier and starting to get into that and what he's done to the Ruby. There's cool stuff coming, and I think Thulis is just doing some very subtle but very strong stuff that I think is going to pop even bigger when we get to spend a little bit more time with John Dee. So everything that's going on there, I guess one of the things that we haven't been talking about, the score, I think it is quite good. You know, it's very lullaby dream-esque. Like, you want to be here all the time, and it pulls tense when it needs to and gives you a little bit of that horror when it needs to. So I'm digging what we're getting there. From a directing standpoint, because we haven't really talked about that, I think these episodes flow really nicely. I think the way that we can transition in between certain sequences and the way that you're able to play with dreams and sand and the different visual effects that we're getting, everything about this show is just so damn good. I'm obviously going 5 out of 5 for the third episode in a row. I've never done this before, but Neil Gaiman is just speaking to my heart, man, and he's hitting me dead center chest, or maybe a little bit to the left, because that's where the heart technically is. But no, I mean, crushing. And yes, this is the biggest detour. I could see this being an episode that maybe certain fans bump up against, but I'm so fascinated with how Gaiman is attacking the series and how he's attacking the material and bringing it to a current time. And what's cool is a lot of the current timeliness things in the show are more to do with casting and the types of characters and some of the changing that you're doing there, where the adaptation is really sticking true to form to the books, except this episode, which takes like the biggest detour, but the essence of it is still there, and you're still ripping stuff right off the page. This thing is a master. It's building to be a master. Like, if this show stays at this level all the way across, like, it's one of the best comic adaptation things maybe that we'll ever get. And I am so happy that, you know, something like the Sandman that's been floating around in the Hollywood spectrum for a long time, and something that Gaiman has wanted to bring to us in live action for so long, now that it's finally here, like, it is just hitting in a crazy way, and I'm so here for it. So 5 out of 5 once again for the Seaman. You all probably saw that coming. The question is, I'm interested, where are you guys at with the Sandman? Is this hitting? Let's talk specifically to the non-comic book readers. If you have had no experience with the Sandman, 3 episodes in, how is this show hitting for you? Are you like just sucked into this fantasy world and enamored and interested and intrigued? And maybe if you've been following my videos, like giving the little comic drops and extra things that pop up, like, is it just sucking you into the world the way the comic has for most of the comic book readers? Or is this something that maybe is a little bit slower of a burn for you? Like, you're not too sure and you're interested, and you can tell there's quality here, but maybe you're not all the way in yet. You non-comic readers, I'm very interested to see what you're thinking so far, and specifically, without having any experience with the John Constantine issue, what'd you think of episode 3, man? How'd that work for you? Did you like Johanna Constantine? Did you like the back and forth between, Dream and her, and how the episode played out? And if you are a comic book reader, how does this episode hit for you? And how's the show hitting for you? Are you feeling like me? Are you like just ecstatic through the roof? Like, you know what? It's not verbatim, and nothing that gets adapted should be verbatim. You want surprises. You want tweaks. You want things you don't see coming. At least I do. But, like, is it just hitting a massive home run with this adaptation? Or do you wish it would stick closer to the books? And if you're feeling one of those two ways, How does episode 3 hit for you? It's the biggest diversion, a lot of changes, and a lot of comic accurateness all bundled up into a ball of joy for me, but maybe not for you. Maybe this episode was a little too slow. Maybe it didn't move for you. Maybe the show is not moving as fast as you'd like, even if you are a comic book reader. So anything you guys got from either end of the spectrum, good, bad, indifferent, I want it down below in the comments section. Look forward to talking to you down there. As always, if you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up. And if you're new, you want to come hang out with C-Man anytime we're talking movies, TV, trailer, reactions, which I have a couple that I got to get caught up on. We'll probably try to get them up tomorrow. You want to be here for any of that stuff. You just want to be here for the rest of my, Sandman coverage as that starts to come out. As a matter of fact, talking about those trailer reactions, you'll probably see those before this video. But if you want to be here as we go through the Sandman, you're digging what the Seaman's doing, you just want to show a little love and support to this guy, well, hey, super easy. All you got to do, jump over there, man. Join C-Maniac Nation by hitting that subscribe button. Hit that little bell if you want those alerts so you know when the fresh videos are dropping. And until next time, C-Man's Cinema Sit Down. I've been the C-Man. I'm signing off. Peace. Oh, hey, what's going on? You must be sticking around because you're looking for more content featuring this guy. Well, guess what? You're in the right place. You can check out more videos right here and right here. And if you have and you want to come join that C-Maniac Nation, you can hit that subscribe right over there.